Right, welcome to episode 90 of Masters of the Forge. It's Adam here, and with me I have Jason.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Adam.
And Anonymous Hyena.
Hello, everyone.
How
Hi,
you
Adam.
doing, John?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
We have John on today because he has an Imperial Knight army, and he plays them. So he's going to be joining us to talk about Imperial Knights on your tabletop. So we have an action-packed show for you today. First, though, I feel like I need to get some business out of the way. Now, if any of you have listened to episode 2 of Masters of the Forge, Altar of War, which I sure hope you have, you know that we received a letter from a certain law office from California. And I've had these people, I use the term loosely, contact me in regards to some alleged copyright infringement of said podcast. And I really feel like I'm being, I don't know, I feel like they're trying to, I feel like they're trying to get one over on me, you know, and trying to harm the podcasting community at the same time. So I'm gonna play you this message I got. It's a little disturbing. Those with small children in the room should probably cover their ears because there's some slightly violent language going on. And
hold on, are you covering the children's ears, or are they covering their own ears and they're allowing the children to listen fully?
Yeah, I'll let you
ears.
Make that choice because it's everyone's choice as an American citizen, or wherever country they're in. Okay, so here it comes.
Hey Loop, it's Blake. I'm leaving you this Skype message because you're not returning my text messages or my phone calls. I've left some messages on your phone. I contacted your wife on Facebook, but for whatever reason, it's not getting through to you. So hopefully when you log into Skype, you're going to see this message. Okay, where to start here? The thing that's been happening between our two podcasts, the disagreement, it's something that we can fix. I don't think it has to go the way it's going right now. I would hope that we can come to some agreement here, because I don't think we Ed and I have known you now for a while.
Who's this?
And then we had the trip to England.
Wait a minute.
And
Is that Loopy?
the thing in
Is
England,
that Loopy?
if England meant anything
I
to
can't believe you're talking
you,
to Loopy.
if England meant anything to you, we can get through this together.
Why don't you understand?
And I think maybe you're not answering the phone calls because of the lawyer stuff, but I think we can let's push the lawyers aside for a little bit.
Let's push Loopy aside.
No, we can come to an agreement together.
Train tracks.
We can come to an agreement together. We don't need to worry about the lawyers right now.
Step on his hat.
We can
step on his hat.
We can.
His English hat.
There's going to be a lot of vitriol, and some people are going to be saying things that are mean. But listen, it's just as long as you and I can communicate.
I hate Loopy.
As long as you and I can communicate,
Loopy.
we figure this out. All
We're
right.
not figuring out anything.
So just
let
listen.
The lawyers figure it out.
Just
Dewey,
hit me back,
Get him,
dude.
Dewey. Get him.
Yeah, we just need to just talk this
I'll
through.
call Dewey right now.
All right, dude. Listen, Loopy.
Hang up. Blake.
I have to go, Loop.
So help me God.
I have to go. Bye.
Blake.
So that's clearly very serious. I honestly don't know why you guys are laughing. Oh yeah, very funny. We're being sued. We could lose literally tens of dollars from ad revenue here, guys. So
Well, you guys make all of tens of dollars. Where's been my cut?
what? Listen. You
don't need to know
should
about
be
that, John.
on the
Okay.
ground thanking us for allowing you to be a part of this. Okay. So one way that you can thank us is, John, I know that your brother just passed the bar exam, right?
Maybe.
So he's a dog. That's what I hear. I hear that he is a vicious dog in the courtroom, and an expert research man. So what I want you to do is talk to Brandon, get him up here, and we're gonna settle this once and for all.
I think his rates might be above the tens of dollars, though.
He owes me. All right? You tell him he owes me. He'll know what I'm talking about. You won't know. Don't ask him why, but he'll know. All right?
Will do.
Okay, good. So we can move on now to proper business. Oh, and by the way, yes, for the Gathering Storm 3, there will be an Altar of War episode. And
All right.
and I don't even care. I don't even care what Life After the Cover Save thinks. That's our segment, and we came up with it. All right. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little.
Just let it all out. Let it all out. You're
I'm
okay.
Fine.
You're okay.
I'm fine. You know, it's just really sad that it had to come to this. So, John,
What's up?
what have you been up to in the hobby?
I have just finally left
Segway.
what I like to call hobby hell, because I just painted 3 Night Titans in non-metal metallic, and that was a lot of fun. And I totally never ever want to do that again.
That
Never.
was your choice.
I
You chose
really,
to do that.
I really appreciate that you are trolling grognards right now because you're using the phrase Night Titans, because I feel like that's something people get stabbed over.
Hey, these things happen, but no, I just 3 Night Titans, non-metal metallic. Oh, you know what? They come after me. I just painted 3 Night Titans. I won't even fight. I'm done. Just arms in the air, like do it. Just whatever.
Forgot the display board, dude.
Don't even have to make it quick. Oh my god, the display board. So
Yeah.
I decided to paint a display board for the non-metal metallic Night Titans.
No one's
and-
paying you to make decisions, John.
No one is. So for my display board, I made it look like this whole like ruined like city thing, because that's the thing. But I'm doing the murals again like I did on my Reaver Titan, where it's like this John Blanche style second edition, like all Mechanicus designed mosaics and freehand.
Yeah, those
That-
mosaics are really cool. We should definitely, when you see this posted, you should definitely comment with some pictures, because I like how you have a kind of a parchment monochrome for your mosaics on the ground. You know, on your bases and your display boards. I think that's really cool. What colors are you using there? Can you off the top of your head rattle them off?
I'm using Rhinox hide. It's a dark brown color. I'm then layering on Tau light ochre.
Yeah.
And then I'm using Ustabi bone and then Screaming Skull as a light highlight.
Very there's barely any of the Screaming Skull in there.
Absolutely. And then I'm hitting up with a wash and then kind of just working through those colors again just to relayer it and add that depth. And something I'm doing on the display board that I did not do for the Reaver Titans base is I'm actually going back over with a pen of all things. And I'm like adding this really sketchy, I'm adding like a sketch type look to it. So it's that really like that John Blanche second edition 40K artwork style, where like just like kind of like lines everywhere, make it look a lot more chaotic and noisy.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Thank you. And part of the reason why I'm doing that is I really like the old artwork that he's done. But it's also where the non-metal metallic is so clean and like everything is just well blended. it contrasts stylistic. My words are really good.
Yeah.
I'm done with today.
It's a long
Stylistically.
day.
It clashes with that, so then the models will stand out even more. But as you look at the board, you'll start seeing all these other little patterns and everything else with the freehand. Because this is a board I really want to take to like the Armies on Parade. Next time they do that, I want to go there and then try to see if I can't win that for like a local store.
Yeah,
I think the most local one for us is down in Hartford, Connecticut, if I remember properly.
Yeah, that's the closest one.
It's pretty
Or
far.
used to be.
Our area is saturated with game stores, so that's probably why it's so far.
Yeah, and it's something I can also then use for like my 30K army. But the thing I love the most though is on this display board, I got 6 grots like holding the line against all these knights, just like uselessly firing their guns at them.
That's fantastic.
And I got that one little ammo runt just trying to get away, just carrying that little ammo cart behind him. Just looks so determined. He's gonna make it. He's not gonna make it.
No, he's not. In the fallen Killican, you're just basically killing all the grots on your base.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
They're super chaotic, so that almost goes with the theme of the board too.
Yeah, they're really great. The character in those plastic grot models and in the ammo runts and all the tokens and stuff are just amazing. Those are beautiful kits.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, I've only painted 6, but like I feel like I could paint a couple more, but then like I'd have to give the rest to a friend.
I hate you. No.
So
No. No, you don't. First of all, you have a friend. Second of all,
Oh,
that's great, John. That's cool. Yeah, I'm really pleased to see those getting wrapped up. And I assume you'll be moving on to your Mechanicum after this. Mechanica/Mechanicum, I guess.
yeah, absolutely. I really want to get that Warhound that I got at Adepticon a couple years ago. I never got a chance to work on it yet, so I might do that while I'm working on the 30K stuff, because I know our group's looking more into 30K, and I'd like to do like a small force for the Armageddon campaign that we were talking about for later.
Yeah.
So I might try getting that one done. But, you know, it's funny. Every time I've gone to Adepticon with you, somehow I've walked away with a super heavy that you've convinced me to buy.
Yeah. Well done.
And it's always taken me like a year or two to work up the courage to actually paint it.
Yeah.
And
And imagine what the possibilities are, you know, looking at some of the rules changes for 8th edition. Who knows what kind of big monsters will be appropriate in any game of 40K?
So if you're ever at Adepticon and you happen upon Adam, do not drink and do not let him be near you over at like the bits vendor, because next thing you know, you're going to be walking away with something entirely unreasonable.
Yeah, like herpes.
Well, that too.
it is the gift that keeps on giving.
It is. And giving and giving and giving. That's great, John. Jason, what is your story the past week? We actually haven't really met for a little while. You've been super busy with work, it being, you know, finals season and whatnot.
Advising.
Yeah, being all important and stuff. Have you gotten any hobby done?
Yeah. I actually surprisingly do have some hobby.
Cool.
So, just so listeners know, when I'm really busy, I don't paint, like, at all. But I build, and when I'm really, really kind of freakishly busy, then I start building characters, like, you know, conversions and intricate kit bashes. And to show you how busy I've been, because it's been about, 2 weeks since we recorded? It's been a while. I built an Ammon conversion from 30K, the Thousand Suns. And it was supposed to be a conversion. I was going to try and do all sorts of stuff, but I started playing around with the Exalted Sorcerer kit for 40K, and it became more of a kit bash. I mean, there are some conversions there. I chopped off a lot of stuff and re-glued it and whatnot. But it's from the Exalted Sorcerer kit, some Calth stuff. Remember the old metal torsos from the Thousand Suns, the 40K ones? I have one of those on there as well. And then I have some other, and this is actually my notes, other random crap from a bits box that Curtis dropped off at the store one time. He just dropped it off and said, go ahead and have whatever. And at the end of the night, no one had taken anything. And I said, hey, can I have the boxes? He's like, sure. So I walked off with a box of a lot of 2nd and 3rd edition Space Marine bits.
Nice.
And I think I gave one box to Connor and I kept the other.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool. So that's that conversion. So it's basically, he's kind of a Praetor. So he's got a sword and he's got an Archaeotech pistol. And the pistol is the one that has the minor conversion work. It's an old plastic pistol that I chopped around on, then gave a new barrel for it. So that's the first thing I built. The second thing I built was a Moritat for the Thousand Suns also. Another kit bash.
Rad. So
that guy?
Describe. I know we kind of talked about it last time, but once again, describe it for our 40K listeners.
Okay, so Moritat is for lack of a better term, it's kind of a lone hunter, a lone wolf. Although I don't want to say that with Thousand Suns, but you know what I mean. He's a lone killer, so he can't join groups. He's an IC. He carries two pistols of some sort, whether it be bolt pistols, plasma pistols, or Volkite Serpentos. And so this had to be someone who looks terrifying, someone who I put on the board. People are going to go, oh, that guy's a jerk. And so what I did was, as I was looking through the Exalted Sorcerer kit, there's this cool helmet that has this kind of a crane skull. Well, it looks like the combination of a bird skull and kind of a cobra hood. And it looks incredible. And I looked at that and went, this would be perfect for Moritat. It looks terrifying and kind of evil because that's what these guys are supposed to be. They're supposed to be more ruthless than anyone else in the Legion. So that's what he got. I don't have Volkite Serpentos because I'm not even sure they sell them, that Forge World sells them. So I took two Deliverance pattern shotguns from the recon.
I ride. I'm wanted, dead or alive. Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's literally, I could not get that out of my head when you started describing this character.
You want some?
Yeah.
You can tell scary. Jason lives down in Texas in the wild, wild west.
Pretty much, yeah. So anyways, he's got two shotguns, one in each hand.
So rad.
And then I went and put some plastic rod, so it looks like it's piping back into the power pack. Mm-hmm. So he looks really cool. I've been really happy with him.
Yeah,
he's mostly a Mark III armor, but he's got some other cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to see this, go to Instagram, look for hashtag Masters of the Forge.
Boom.
And all of my crap I put under there.
Cool.
So,
yeah, I've been having trouble with that because, I'll post something, I'll post work in progress on 1 hour a night, and then when I finish something, I'm like, well, 1 hour a night, they don't want posts from blogs, so I post all the pictures on 1 hour a night. Then I go and I write my blog post, and then I share that on Masters of the Forge. And then I share the Masters of the Forge post on my page Facebook, and the narrative page and the 17K Insane Mode page. And then I'm like, I guess I could put this on Instagram, but now I'm tired. So
I typically I go to 1 hour a night and then I post it on my own personal or my Masters of the Forge Facebook page. Then I throw it on Instagram because there are a lot of people on Instagram who I guess are actually following the Masters of the Forge tag. I don't know.
Oh, okay, cool.
So,
well, and I think just keep in mind, everyone, when you're posting your pictures, you'll save people a lot of grief by posting it in one public place and then sharing it instead of doing multiple posts.
Yeah,
that's the important thing. That way, it only shows up on people's feeds once if you do it that way. If you do it the sharing way. It'll just say so and so shared this on this, and this, but it'll only be the post once, and that's really helpful for people who don't. I
also okay, so those are the things I did for kit bashing and whatnot in hobby. I also did read 2 books. I'm not going to spoil anything. Don't scream at the podcast. I read Eye of Ezekiel, which is, of course, a Dark Angels novel.
You don't
quite
say.
good. Quite good, actually. Very interesting. I'm not spoiling anything when I say that it's about Ezekiel. If you're a Dark Angels
He
player,
was a ghost the entire time.
He was
wow,
he was in the bedroom upstairs the entire time.
too soon. Okay, so I read that, and I also read the Kikaradon's Red Tithe. What can I say about this book? It's really cool. I'm doing my best not to paint a unit of Kikaradons.
And that would really take a bite out of the wallet.
Dude.
Sorry.
Wow. Adam, no, you're too far to throw a knife at him. Okay.
Yeah, he's not here.
We have to fix that. Okay, so anyway.
I mean, we were scheduled to hang out together and record, but that didn't happen.
Yeah,
We won't go into it. It's fine.
Well, anyways, Kikaradons, I do highly recommend it. It's Robbie McNiven, and he actually has expanded the fluff for the chapter quite a bit, and it's actually very interesting. I think the Forge World book it's the Bad Ab War Volume 10, has maybe like 12 pages of fluff, but he's really expanded and given it a lot of flavor that I find quite interesting. I won't go any farther. It would be too easy to spoil stuff. So, ta-da! There we go. I'm done.
Excellent. So,
What about you, Adam?
yeah, it's a long one this week. It's mainly we had the story time last week and stuff, so we have quite a bit to talk about. For my part, I started the narrative campaign at the store. We had a combat patrol event last weekend on Saturday. We're really excited about that. We started with some combat patrol games and some somewhat narrative missions. I didn't go too crazy because it was, a crowd. We had 16 people show up, which was great.
There were some amazing looking armies there too.
Who showed up? Yep, the paint was very good for the most part. I'm really pleased with how that worked out. We also will be running the Shadow War organized play pack. The guys at Flipside sent me a picture yesterday, and there's a ton of stuff in that pack. It's looking pretty cool. They give you all kinds of tokens and stuff, and custom dice for the game. So I think everybody is going to really enjoy doing that OP. So if anybody is in the area and wants to play in the Shadow War OP event, I believe we're going to be doing $5 per game on Mondays for at least as long as that OP pack will continue. And we're going to roll that into our campaign. The campaign is it's a city fight campaign. It's being held in the main hive on Zorn 4. So it's a natural fit for that campaign because the game is intended to be represent hive combat, under hive combat. And what's really cool is the guys over at Mini Wargaming have already done, at the time of this recording, 3 more battle reports, and they'll have another one popping up sometime this weekend of the Shadow War game. So that's going to be super great. That's a lot of fun. It kind of shows you how it works. And let's just say frag grenades are pretty good.
Okay, duly noted.
Basically, one of the rules, just a little like on your tabletop here. Anytime you hit a model, it's pinned.
Yeah.
Now there's ways to unpin yourself and stuff. So when you have a frag grenade, you chuck a template. You can pin multiple people with a frag grenade, which is literally what a grenade should do.
Yeah.
When you think about it, because if you see a grenade, what are you gonna do? Oh,
And it's cool because there's some things like traits you can give certain characters where they'll just throw the grenade back.
that's
Really?
fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Are you
pretty
serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
cool. It's the most nervous game of catch or hot potato.
so when it went on for order, I was actually not in town, and so I couldn't order it. And by the time actually I was working, and I noticed, oh hey, it's up. Oh hey, it's sold out. Aww.
Well, they did say on the community page that all the rules and stuff will be made available outside of the pack. I'm pretty sure that means a digital release, but I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that's what that means. And they're also
that's what
going
Mark
to be
mentioned.
Yeah, they're also going to be releasing more additional factions. And personally, I'm assuming that's going to be in a White Dwarf, but it could, because they've been doing that, all of their standalone games, they've been adding rules in the White Dwarf. But I assume that they might also release it as a digital release. So we'll see. That'll be really cool. Maybe there'll be a nice combined digital release with all the rules and all the factions in it. I think that's what people really want.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind having a hardcover personally.
Oh
but
yeah,
that's just me.
That's the kind of game where you would sell it. I don't think they thought they would. I'm not sure if they thought it was going to be as exciting for people as it was.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that's a book I would buy. So hopefully they'll streamline a little bit more and then put out a hard copy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If there's a hard copy that comes out, that might be a neat event just to run instead of like the combat patrol in the future.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. So looking forward to that, getting some campaign, some league play in there at the store. So last time we spoke, I said, I'm going to start my display board. I did not start my display board. I got in a conversation online. Like, I thought I might do some an red acrylic display board to really make it look like Tuska's riding a wave of blood, but it just would be way too much money. I would get stabbed in the neck, and it would be like a slow stabbing too. She would just ease it into my throat. So
yeah, but if she does it over to the display board, I mean,
he does have a point. Yeah, he does have a point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're the dorks. I mean, do you really care where the blood flows? I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But I went with I made a command decision. I'm gonna do just do it. I'm gonna do one out of foam or insulation foam and stuff like that, and some plastic hard and whatnot. I'm not sure what to coat it with. I kind of don't want to do so. Like if I'm cutting out the foam and I make the wave out of foam and I use some plastic hard, that's fine and all. But I'm not sure what to do about make it more lumpy. Green stuff would just be way too expensive, and I think the dental stone would be far too brittle.
Yeah.
Should I use Play-Doh? Play-Doh would be too brittle too.
Yeah, I was about to say you might want to next time you get a chance, go to one of the art stores, not like a Michael's or something, but an actual art store, and ask them about maybe doing some type of sculpting where you can't fire it, and just trying to find something on the cheap, because it sounds like there's got to be something like a clay or almost like a green stuff equivalent.
Yeah, something that's more of a polymer. I need a polymer.
There's Sculpey, but you have to bake that. So what you could do is go through and mold it to the shape you want, bake it, and then glue it on.
Yeah.
But that might make it a little bit bulky with the weight.
Yeah, that's and like I said, I have similarly, I have a plaster of Paris sculpt stuff.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that I used on the pig, the big sow, the riding sow for my Jugger boss. And yeah, again, that would be way too heavy. It's almost adding rocks to the display board. So if the listeners, if you have any suggestions as to what I can do to add texture a non-brittle texture to my display board, I would really appreciate it, because I got to get started working on that pretty soon.
Can I make a suggestion for the display board? You got to get like one of those little office waterfalls that people put on their desks. You just get some white food dye. Just have that just molded into your display board. You're like, yeah, I got a waterfall. What of it?
Yeah, well, that was the idea if we were to ever use my Dorks army for the team tournament at Adepticon. I want to do a multi-tiered waterfall of blood for Watuska at Adepticon someday.
Or like one of those the water fresheners for cats and dogs.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. I'm not sure if the pump is strong enough, but yeah, it must. Yeah, it as long as you can get it started, it should be strong enough, because it's all capillary action anyways, or whatever it's called. Anyways,
that's right. We're enabling you.
Yeah, well, clearly, I'm not going to do it for this one. I'm just going to do a simple one. But yeah, that's definitely something I would love to do someday, is just go to Adepticon with a giant waterfall of blood. That would be amazing. So instead, I finished my Imperial Knight army because, why not? I had plenty of time. I was very surprised at how quickly I finished up the last two nights.
Rub it in.
Like this weekend, wow. I didn't really start it until like Friday night, and even then I didn't really work on it much until Sunday, and I painted the entire I painted the entire Knight Lancer in like a day.
You see, it's funny because you'll post like a picture in the morning being like, I'm going to start this night today. And then in the afternoon, you'd post a picture of, it's done and it looks amazing. Look at all the amazing freehand I've done. Meanwhile, I had spent about like 3-4 hours just like painting feet on a night. I can do that.
Well, cool. I mean, you get what you pay for, right? You have a very beautiful army. But I don't have the patience for it. I really don't. So I take little shortcuts, and I think what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, sometime this weekend, I have already done all my photo shoots, but I'm going to pull out all the knights again and just go over each one with a fine-tooth comb and add some gemming and add some Warpalock bronze to some of the Mechanicus symbols on it. Just pick out a few things on each knight to get them a little more finished than they are right now. And I really appreciate I really appreciate everyone's feedback on those. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to have a finished army, another finished army under my belt, and I'm excited to move on to the next thing. So far this year, I am up to 4,458 points and 93 models at the end of the first quarter.
You're crazy.
I am really excited. 93 models, 4,458 points. So I'm on target to reach my goal. But the Knights were pretty easy as far as points are concerned. It was a little tough on the model count, but we're going to get there. I'm looking forward.
Well, you have a bunch of Space Marines ready to go pretty soon, right?
I'm going to finish painting my Legion of the Damned eventually. And I also have the entire Seraphon army, which is about 40 hojillion points.
I was about to say, if you're worried about like model numbers, but you're not about points.
I hate
I'm just saying,
shut your
you have
face.
options. I mean,
you shut up.
Like, what would that option be? Like, just trying to remember.
A dead John. So I have 5,000 points of Seraphon I can paint. So that should be fine. That should get me up there, and that's like 1 billion models. Then I have some Noise Marines and stuff. So I have my Emperor's Children army. Remember how I said I was going to paint him a clean purple?
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Actually, because I was reading after writing that story about Michelle Vaughn and the Star Eagles. I'm like, oh, and I started like looking at my Star Eagles Codex again, and I really feel like I want to do a hard edit of that Codex and start the army again. So that would be a purple army, and I can't do 2 purple. That is just insanity. So I think when I do these Emperor's Children, I'm going to do them in 40k colors. And by that I mean madness. Pure madness. Like, it's going to be garish and awful, and I can't wait. I've already kind of pointed it up, and I've got enough to make 5 6-man units of Chaos Space Marines, a Chaos Lord, and 3 6-man units of Noise Marines. So I should be good to go there. I think that'll be a good start to an army. I think if I add rhinos for everyone and add a few more kind of hard-hitting units, I think that'll be a complete army. Because Noise Marines are really pricey, which is, I don't know, it's fine. So I think that might be my that'll be my 3rd completed army in 2017. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, nice. Man. You're doing a lot of this with, what sort of painting technique are you using for speed painting? Are you using the zenithal painting that we talked about?
Yeah, the knights are not easy. The knights are like pure. Well, the knights were not multiple thin coats. They weren't glazing. I do not glaze. I do not have the patience for glazing. My knights are basically the technique is I put down the first thin coat of black just to get it in there. And then I work from top to bottom and bottom to top. So the shadow color is on the bottom, the light color is on the top, and I blend it. I just work at it and blend it all wet while it's wet. And if it looks, sometimes when you do that though, there's a spot in the middle of the panel that won't hold paint. That's when I stop, because that's when you get problems with thickness of paint. So like, when you're blending 2 colors together and underneath in the middle of the panel, usually on a pauldron or a rounded shape, that you're just not going to get the coverage by doing that. You have to stop what you're doing, wait for it to dry, and then go again.
Right. Okay.
So it's really, I guess it's wet blending. I don't know if that's exactly what the technique is, but I think that is what I'm doing. The colors are not dried when they are being mixed together. They're wet. I'm mixing the colors on the model instead of on the palette.
Got it. Okay.
So I think that's about it. I mean, I did have a game with John, but we're going to talk more about that later. And I worked on my Knight Army background, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Whatever we didn't learn from the story last week.
Okay.
So that was a 40-minute intro. But I think we had we had some nice conversations, and I really hope that the listeners support us in our fight to preserve our right to run the altar of war. So why are you laughing?
And if you want to continue to fight for our right, and you want to support Adam and his orcs, there are several eBay
All right, moving on to segment 2. Just listen to these commercials.
Hello, everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40k background.
The NGC 40k podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40k to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
Greetings, mofos!
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke en bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer en bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said.
This is Rob Sanders, and you're listening to the Masters of the Forge, where the world of 40k comes to life on your tabletop.
And we're back! Welcome back. So, John.
Adam.
Now that everyone knows each other's names.
Let us know what Nighthouse you're running. Because I know it's not a traditional Imperial Nighthouse, right?
No, when the Night stuff first dropped, I was thinking of painting it red and going Mechanicum, because it was kind of like the off color for my Grey Knights. Mm-hmm. So I ended up going with House Raven, because like I was really looking at House Crast because it said it always fought against demons. I'm like, hey, it works for my Grey Knights, but I didn't want to pay like $80 for a transfer sheet from eBay. Or freehand everything, because that way lies madness.
Yes.
Oh, and the way you took doesn't include madness? Okay.
Well, it does, checking. But it just was delayed. No, I decided to go with House Raven, and they are the most numerous of all of the Night houses, where my number will stay at 4.
That's what you say now.
Yeah, until like. Yeah. I like House Raven a lot because it like the Night Codex has a little bit of background on each of the different houses, but like if you look into each house just a little bit more, just kind of like looking at another White Dwarf or even like the Warhammer Wikipedia page or anything else, there's just a lot more just to that one individual like background than they really let on. So I ended up going with House Raven, which is right next door to the Forge World Metallica, which is where I'm having all of my 40k and 30k Skitari and Mechanicum forces come from. So the colors kind of really clash, but they look really well together. So it's like red and white, and then white with red.
Yeah.
So it works great with an allied contingent. And I've also just been a huge fan of the Armageddon campaign ever since they launched that, and House Raven and Legion Metallica take a huge part in the second and third wars.
Right. So what you touched on there, multiple things, right? First of all, when you're choosing the Night Army you want to play, it doesn't hurt to consider your other armies, right?
Yeah.
So you're planning on, Mechanicum for 30k, and you had this color scheme already with your Grey Knights, and it kind of all fell together, and put some thought into it. So if you might have an Ultramarines army, so what you might want to do is pick up a Knight and paint it up in House Terran colors, because they work together. There are Knights that work with the Imperial Fists. There are Knights, there's a Knight house that could work with just about any faction that you might have. And if you even want to like move on to kind of the heretical side of things, there are a lot of Orc players who use the Knight Renegades rules with Allies of Convenience, just so that they can have some big stompy robots that that can fight against some of the stuff that's out there. I think that's pretty cool.
Like I actually have a free blade knight that I run with my Blood Ravens because, well, the Blood Ravens would have a free blade knight, wouldn't they? They might even have their own little Nighthouse that they have acquired. Shall we say.
Borrowed.
Borrowed. Rescued from the Ultramar system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shop at Ultramar.
Free blades are a great addition to it. Like, if you really don't want to commit to a full Nighthouse and you want something fun, you could add a free blade. And the great thing is you can later on, if you want to add another different free blade, you can.
Yeah. I will probably add more in the future. I'm just not yet.
Yeah.
Although my friends seem to keep making Nighthouses, and you guys are being a really bad influence.
It is funny that we both kind of are polishing off our knight armies at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's Mark over on the Narrative 40K page. He's actually basing his Imperial Knight army on free blades.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and reread that. I saw he'd posted something, but I hadn't had a chance to read it.
Well, the cool thing about his knight army is that the quote High King, I believe her name is Natasha Karinsky. So anybody, you guys might not know who that is, but you can kind of guess. Some of our listeners will guess what the theme of that Nighthouse is going to be. So that's pretty sweet.
Well, what I was going to say is what I think is kind of interesting is since we are both kind of wrapping up knight armies at the same time, but we both went kind of different routes with it. You went with a pure knight army, and then now you're kind of looking for allies to throw in. I always started, or when I started the army, I said, I want allies in this list. What can I do to have the allies? And then kind of went at it with that color palette in mind of what can I use to kind of complement this army.
And you know what, John? Sorry, I apologize for interrupting you, but I feel like there's some kind of, I think there's some kind of parallel here where your knight army solves a problem and my knight army creates a problem, and
yeah,
that's pretty apt.
Well, the whole reason why I got this army to begin with was over the summer we went to that one tournament. And it was like I was up till 3 a.m. the night before, just like I had a fun time, but I got home and I'm like, I can't bring my guard to a tournament ever again. Mm-hmm. Like 2 of the games, I just kind of sat in timeout and just waited for someone to remove my stuff. So that was when I handed Brandon the iPad and said, can you, because he was a rules lawyer, can you figure out a list that I can do for pretty cheap? And I had 2 knights at the time.
Sorry, go on. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I understand. I know that I feel your pain. So let's move on to let's discuss building your Nighthouse. Again, you don't have to use the ones in the book, but to be honest, there's a lot in the books. There's some that are, for the main Knights book. Several of them like a good half of them are Imperial Nighthouses, and the other half are Mechanicus aligned Nighthouses, which is pretty cool. And then you have some that are in the Forge World books, and I believe it was Horse Heresy Book 4, I believe. Don't quote me, but and we discussed those. Some of those are pretty cool, but when you look at the heraldry, you'll notice there are some similarities between the houses, and a lot of the stuff like the Imperial Eagles that you can add, you can kind of trim some of this heraldry down and use it. You could even use some of your Space Marines decals. So for my house, I decided to go with, I wanted them to be engaged with the Eye of Terror. And I wanted them to be working with my Space Marines chapter and stuff like that, and the Inquisition. And I thought, well, it might be really cool if this house was specialized in something like, and I came up with demon hunting or demon fighting, right? So the story kind of developed from there, and I eventually decided on, I think I'm going to go with this, dragon theme. And it just it turns out, I was looking the other day that the constellation Draco is superimposed over kind of maybe a little to the left of the Eye of Terror. What the position of the Eye of Terror in 40K. So I'm like, ooh, this is really cool. So the story is that the original settlers settled on a world in the Draco constellation, and they've kind of been considering that their domain for years. So what do you guys think? Like you can come up with any kind of excuse to make up your own Nighthouse.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of use what you learned from episode 88 and reading in the codexes and stuff, and really try to let your imagination go wild, because these are big models and you have lots of room for creativity here.
And what's great about the codex too, and I know you guys covered a little bit, is it just lays out, how the heraldry works. So if you're going to go with a Mechanicum or an Imperial aligned knight, it shows you how to show that on your model, and how to kind of like show different kill tallies and other squadron marks. Mm-hmm. And then with free blades, sky's the limit.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, it is. You get you have a lot of variation here, and a lot of the squad markings are very interesting. John, I noticed that you actually followed the scheme for, you said Metallica, right? Where certain knight ranks have certain striping on the knight and stuff like that.
Yep.
And if you're coming up with your own Nighthouse, you can just do that. It's like, okay, the king, the High King, has a stripe here, and all the young inexperienced knights have like checkers on their shoulder pads to denote that, or whatever. That all that stuff you can do to style your Nighthouse.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like you don't have a lot of models, but you can put a lot into those few models.
Right, exactly. Every shoulder pad is like a different model in the army, So I guess what you want to do is, I think for most hobbyists, they're going to be picking up on Knight to start. They're not insane like this guy. And just being like, I have 7 knights, let's paint them now.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what happened to you when you went over to England. You came back and you're like, I bought all these knights and they're coming back with me with Forge World.
I have a knight army now.
Yeah.
What happened to them over there?
So I think for the first night, I think it would be a good idea to just build it by the instructions. Because even though... here's the thing. Magnetizing... Okay. Sorry. So get yourself a Knight Crusader or Knight Warding kit. They're the same thing. It's the Advanced Knight kit. The Carapace has the perfect little hole, a little recess on the inside that fits a 1/4-inch magnet perfectly. It's almost like they designed it that way. I think they did. And then the turret also has a little divot that's perfect for a 1/4-inch magnet on the inside top. I'm pretty sure these knights were literally designed to be magnetized.
Probably.
Now the arms... Sorry, John, go ahead.
So after magnetizing, because I have the 3 in my current army, I fully magnetized them out. Mm-hmm. You can magnetize these knights with very little effort. And there's a lot of tutorials online where literally it's like 3 cuts, if that, and you have a fully magnetized knight where you can take it apart at the torso, take apart the arms, take off the rocket launcher. I've seen people magnetize the heads, which sure, that's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a really, really, you can make it superposable. You can get all the different options, which is great, which is awesome too. If you're looking to maybe ever run it as a Renegade Knight and you want to do like the 2 assault cannons, which is just awesome, from the Imperial Knight, or you want to just like switch around and try out different variants, magnetizing is a great way to go.
Yeah, it's not the shoulder joint. You don't want to magnetize that where the arm attaches to the body. It's the joint just below that swivels left and right. That joint does not need to be glued. You could take some hot glue and or some green stuff and stuff it in there. And I put 2 half-inch magnets stacked on top of each other in that joint, and it holds real well. And it's in a perfect spot where it's swiveling left and right. It's not up, down, it's not a weird contact point. And you won't be able to create multiple guns from the kits unless you have lots of kits to work with. But you can definitely swap out the gallant stuff and all that, and you can switch arms for which side you want the gun on and whatever.
Okay.
It's really great, and I suggest doing that for the first night. After that, you can start getting crazy. You can definitely score the knee joint with a very sharp hobby knife. Just score it over and over and over and over again, and at that point the leg will break off, and you can reposition that leg anywhere you want. So it may seem like this is a very monopose model, which it kind of is out of the box, but with a little bit of coaxing, you can get some great poses on these guys.
Cool.
I know my Tiamat and my Drogon, they're my gallants. They're my stock gallants. And I wanted those to have a lot of mobility in their pose because they're close combat monsters. They're meant to get up in the face. So, and I definitely plan on trying to run that gallant lance at some point from the Codex. Because it's just hilarious having 3 Imperial Knights that between them they have 3 heavy stubbers and that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Heavy stubbers.
It's great. They'll never shoot them. So
I always shot them to actually be able to say, "Hey, I'm going after that."
Yeah.
That was the only time I ever used them.
Yep. So I think it's really important that one of the most important points about Imperial Knights is when you come to a game with your Knight Army, you want to make sure the opponent is having a good time. Yeah. And that's a little bit harder with the Imperial Knight Army.
When you go to play, I know when I brought that army to the store, I first let whoever my opponent know, because I've always kind of set it up before I even got to the store.
Yeah.
This is my list, just as a heads up.
Yeah.
Are you cool with this, or do you want me to maybe bring my tanks or something else? And I've never had anyone really say, no, please don't. But I've taken this army to when I went to the Golden Sprue, and I never once felt like people weren't having fun, but I could really, really tell, like, if someone went to the store or went to a gaming area and wasn't ready to face an Imperial Knight, or maybe didn't have like enough weapons to deal with it, that could really degrade the fun fast. Just because you feel like you're able to participate.
Right,
yep.
Right, exactly. And it's all part of that, again, hammering home the idea of the social contract. Now, what we have done is come up with some special rules that you might want to use when playing with your Imperial Knights. I know it's been months since we've made up some new rules for the podcast, but here it is. We've got some in this episode. We've got some special mysterious objectives and some missions. What I think I'd like to do is take a quick break, have a couple messages, and come back and talk about these new rules. What do you guys think?
Works for me.
Okay. Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40k club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't.
This is David Annandale, and you're listening to Masters of the Forge, where they bring the world of Warhammer 40,000 to life on your tabletop.
All right, welcome back. So let's start with these new rules that we're going to use for these missions. One of the things that we have in here as a special rule is the blind deployment. I don't think we really need to describe this too much. We've talked about it before, and they've used it in missions where you place tokens instead of your army, and then once the enemy comes within view of any of the tokens, the unit is revealed 9 inches, at least 9 inches away from the enemy. So that's just a special rule that gets used in one or two of these missions. Then we have Crushing Bulk, which is used in a couple of the missions as well. When this rule is in effect, an Imperial Knight removes any wrecked vehicles or destroyed buildings when they move through them. Difficult terrain tests must be made where applicable. So if there's a bunch of kind of destroyed vehicles on the table, the knight can move through them and then just remove from play, just because knight's kicking things.
And this came into play in our game that we'll get to in a few.
Yeah.
Rex, and if you didn't have that, it just really slows it down.
Right. So the most exciting thing, I think, are the anti-knight supply cache mysterious objectives. They would basically supply these as a replacement for the regular mysterious objectives. If you're playing against an opponent who might not have all the tools they need to take care to have a fun game against your Imperial Knights, and it might be good to print these out and bring these with you to your friendly game store in case you don't have the luxury of setting up a game ahead of time. So just you can bring your knight army and bring these rules and say, hey, do you want to play against me in a fun game? I have these special mysterious objectives that you can use if you want to during our game, to give you more of a boost. Jason, do you want to start off with number one?
Yeah. So number one is the Graviton Arc. So if any super heavy walkers begin their turn within 6 inches of a unit holding this objective, they each suffer D3, Strength 8, AP3 concussive hits. These hits are treated as having originated from the objective and hit even if the knight is engaged in close combat. So I saw this as being kind of like an EMP pulse, an electromagnetic pulse that would actually cause them to slow down and a couple of other things.
Right.
And if they're concussed, that means that they're going to go ahead and hit at Initiative 1, which means Power Fists and Melta Bombs. And some of that other stuff will actually have a chance to hit instead of being doubled out immediately.
Right.
So,
and I thought
that was kind of cool.
I think this is a cool one to replace Sabotaged. Because it's basically Sabotaged, except not only can it affect Imperial Knights, it only affects Imperial Knights.
That is pretty cool.
Super heavy walkers.
Yeah.
Number 2 is usually nothing of note, but now it's Delicate Archaeotech. Super heavy walkers may not hold this objective. So
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like stomping around. I gotta tippy toe around this thing, or it might not even know it's there. The knight may not even see it. John, do you want to give us number 3?
Sure thing. Target Priority Nexus. This objective is treated as a Skyfire Nexus In addition, if a unit holding this objective normally has the Skyfire special rule, it may fire at super heavy walkers at their normal ballistic skill instead of using snapshots.
Yes.
I like that too.
To be honest, you should be able to anyways. They're so big.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically an apartment complex walking at you, trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing. Yeah.
This fourth one, we had a lot of help from the Narrative 40K group on Facebook. Thanks, guys, for helping us out with this one. Because as I had it at first, it was super powerful. Jason, you want to read this one?
All right. So, Haywire Ammunition. Yeah. All right. If you're holding this objective at the end of your turn, you may add a Haywire Ammunition token to the unit. At any time during the game, you may discard a Haywire Ammunition token to make any of the ranged weapons and grenades in the unit use a special Haywire Ammunition. Until the end of that player turn, models using this ammunition gain the Haywire special rule on to hit rolls of 6. So it's like a rending shot. So if you have a lot of shots, maybe a big old blob army or a big old blob of 50 guardsmen, you might be able to do some damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Number 5 is the Ionic Projector, and this kind of takes the place of the Scatter Field. But instead of getting +1 cover save, you basically have an ion shield.
That is pretty cool.
Exactly the same as an Imperial Knight. You just pick one of the models in the unit that's holding it to act as the Imperial Knight for angle for purposes of the angle. So like if you just have an infantry unit, you could just pick a side of that model. You can figure out how to work that. It shouldn't be too hard. Or the unit can, instead of shooting in their shooting phase, choose to reverse polarity on the shield projector. When they do this, nominate an enemy model, and its ion shield is nullified until the end of the turn. In addition, the projector is disabled, so you can't use it to make a shield of your own if you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one's pretty sweet.
That's going to be like the biggest complaint of an army that doesn't really have the tools to deal with the knight is like when their last cannon, their 3 last cannons, one of those actually hits and it punches through, and then he makes a 4-up save.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that is going to be such a huge deal for someone who doesn't have those tools.
Right. And it's not like, and again, these special objectives are not meant for a super competitive game. It's for when your buddy brings their, Space Marine army with random weapons throughout, like their regular, just run-of-the-mill battle company style army. Just a fluffy, friendly army. That's what this is meant for. It's not meant to give a competitive opponent a crushing victory. John, you want to do the last one?
Sure thing. We have Grav Wave Generator as per the normal rules for this mysterious objective type.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, I think the Grav Wave Generator is the perfect kind of mysterious objective against Imperial Knights, to be honest. I think it's fine. So moving on to the missions. I think we're gonna want to not reiterate all of these, word for word. We're already an hour and 10 into this podcast, so why don't we just kind of paraphrase what we have here? So I'll start us off on each of these, and then you guys can chime in. The first mission is Dauntless Advance. John and I played this game because it was the weirdest, right? It's based loosely on one of the missions that we learned about from Curse of the Wolfen. Basically, you set up a board that's 2 feet by 4 feet using 2 feet by 4 feet, right? 1, 2, 1, 3, 2 feet by 3 feet. So that's 3 of the
tiles.
Three of the tiles from the Realm of Battle board. And you set up a little bit of terrain in there, and then the Knights player sets up 12 inches from their board edge, and the defending player sets up 24 inches from their board edge. Now the defending player uses playing cards to represent each of their units that are kind of in this weird reserve, right? You start off by drawing 4 cards from your deck and deploying those units. And so as you move on turns 2, 4, and 6, you remove the Knight player's side of the board and add another 2 feet to the defending player's board. And when you do that, they get 4 more units on the battlefield, drawn randomly from their deck.
Okay.
This has the barge through special rule, and that's where the knight gets to move 12 plus 2d6 inches in a straight line if he wants in their movement phase, instead of running. And when he does that, he gets to stomp anything he moves over. So he's allowed to move over other units, and he performs his full stomps when he does it. He also gets to this mission also has that crushing bulk special rule that we learned about at the start of the on your tabletop section. So what did you think of this mission, John? I really appreciate you helping me play test it, because I wasn't sure when to do the removal of the boards. And we kind of had to eyeball that based on your movement and how much you could possibly move, every turn. At first I had one getting removed every turn, and that really didn't work out. And even every other turn really didn't work out great either.
No, I really liked it. I thought it was a really neat mechanic because playing Knights, sometimes you want to be a little cagey and kind of move around the map, and you have to be really strategic with your ion shield, and this game mode made you run at the enemy. Like you couldn't stop, which works out well because you're barging through. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with it. We definitely had a bunch of people come over to the table and go, well, what's going on over here? Mm-hmm. Because you have, was it 5 Imperial Knights on one side
and a bunch of orcs on the other side? Yeah.
Yeah, and it worked out really thematically too, because as the Knights are punching through the line, more and more of the enemy force is showing up.
Yeah.
It actually became kind of tough to just stay on the board and not go into ongoing reserve and kind of keep up. But that almost was kind of part of the charm of the mission too.
Right.
Was to see how far I could get and how many Knights I would have at the end, and it was pretty neat. It was almost like a side scroller.
It was
Real Knights.
It was, and you mentioned it was kind of a game of you seeing how far you could go and how many Knights can remain. That's literally the victory conditions. So the Imperial Knight player will score 3 points for each of their models in play at the end of the game. They're not going to get stuck in ongoing reserve because you continue to turn 8. But at the same time, you're still probably gonna be really close to your own board edge, and you get 4 victory points if you're within 24 inches of the defender's table edge, and then 5 victory points if you're all the way within 12 of their battlefield edge. And the defender scores 4 points for each knight they destroy. And I believe you won that 1 by 1, which I think that's a good sign that the rules are pretty balanced for the two armies.
Yeah, and when I'll be honest, when you said I want you to bring all your knights, I'm like, but I got 4. And then when I showed up to the store and you had another one, and then I saw you put like a couple squads of boys down, I'm like, oh, Adam, why are you doing this to yourself? You got so much to live for. Why? But as we started playing out the mission, and I started losing knights, and there were more and more orcs, it really made you kind of think. But it almost kind of worked out, almost thematically with that. Is you imagine these knight pilots? They go, "What? Seriously? There's 20 orcs downfield. There's 1 power claw. What are you doing? Get out of here!" And then they charge through. And then next thing you know, there's a bunch of mega knobs with power claws hiding about, and issues occur.
Yeah, and it's supposed to kind of represent the Imperial Knights running through this open field to get to their next objective. So they're kind of powerhousing through the outer defenses of some kind of city or another hardened structure, but they have to get there first. So that's why speed is of the essence, because they're out in the open, with guns bearing down upon them.
Yeah.
So mission 2 is called Bulwarks of Rubble. This one is not play tested, so listeners, if you download this PDF from our website, mastersoftheforge.com, keep that in mind when you look through this one and the next one, because we haven't played them yet. We suggest 2,000 points for this one or more, because it's all about destroying fortifications. So the defender gets to place an additional 1,000 points of fortifications on the field, in addition to their 2,000 points they already have. And you can use some of those 2,000 points for more fortifications if you want to. And the defender gets to place all of the terrain. The deployment is similar to one of the ones from the Yanari storyline, where the defender sets up their army within 24 inches of their battlefield edge, so they have a full half of the board to deploy in. The Knights player only gets a 12-inch by 24-inch area at the center of their deployment edge. The reason for this is, if the defender is placing a bunch of fortifications on the battlefield, I don't want the Knight player to already start amidst all those fortifications. I don't want them to have an easy time getting to every single fortification and destroying it. Yeah. If you know what I mean. So they have to actually maneuver around and move out and maybe split up to get to the fortification. If you're looking at the deployment map, you can kind of tell what I mean by that. Like, they're started in this little area and they have to fan out to start going out and destroying fortifications.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Thanks. One of the special rules is Fortifications of Dust. So I think you guys will like this one. When you assault a fortification with one of your knights, you do roll for your charge, but instead of actually moving the knight, you just point an arrow or something in the direction that the knight is going. You do your attacks, and if you destroy the building, you move the knight its full charge distance. As long as you're touching, as long as you're touching that where that fortification was, you can move in a straight line in that direction. So I thought that was really fun, where they're just like plowing through. Again, it's to kind of help the Knight player a little bit more by giving them as much movement as possible so they can raffle stomp through things. And also, heck, get them closer to the enemy too, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? It's basically the victory points are all about, surviving fortifications and destroyed fortifications and stuff like that. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? Any notes for this mission?
Not so much. It'd be interesting to play test, because basically you're swarming from one single spot for all of your knights.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to fan out, which means that they're going to be more vulnerable.
They have to go all over the board in order to kill enough fortifications.
Yeah.
So they're going to be isolated, which I think is important, especially when you're talking about killing big units of, like you say, Terminators and Mega Knobs and stuff. You don't want one knight faced off against that.
An interesting thing is, you've got the defender has 1,000 points of fortifications, and there's a lot of fortifications that are very cheap.
Yes.
What is it, like? There's that Gatling gun emplacement. I have one, but I can't remember the name of it.
Right. We know
those
what
are
you're
75.
Talking about, though. Yeah.
They're 75 points, so you could run 2 of those for 150.
And then, you could actually run 12 of them, actually, now that I think about it, for 900 points. And it would take a bit to stomp through all that.
Right. And one thing I know I have to fix here is things like Aegis defense lines, which can't be destroyed.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I should actually include it in the crushing bulk rule. Like if they stomp over an indestructible fortification, is just destroyed because they stomped over.
Put that instead.
Yeah, definitely should do that. That's a cool idea.
Or instead, no, I don't know if I want to do that. That might be too complicated. But like they've kicked it out of the way, and it becomes debris and shrapnel essentially.
Right.
They
Exactly.
can kick it through or something. Or wasn't there? Is there a special rule for throwing something?
The Thunderstrike Gauntlet has a throwing ability, which is really
so maybe.
cool.
Well, I don't know if you'd want to add something like that.
Right.
Any sort of indestructible stuff would actually be quote unquote thrown.
Yeah. So that is definitely the right call. For that. I think perhaps the ability to knock over the fortifications would be good. Perhaps normally with that crushing bulk special rule, when they're destroyed, they're just removed from play. Perhaps if you have a Thunderstrike Gauntlet on your knight, you can throw the fortification as if it were a wrecked vehicle.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay,
Okay, that is getting added to the rule then.
My only suggestion with this one is I see you have a thing for like killing the Night Warlord.
Mm-hmm.
Remember back when we did the Apocalypse game many years ago where we had a headquarters bastion that each side had?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do something where the defender has like a general headquarters bastion or a general headquarters fortification. So like if you have like a bunch of bastions like what we had painted up for the Golden Sprue, and then like the Fortress of Redemption, or someone has like one of those macro cannon emplacements, they can maybe use that as like a special or like a headquarters fortification that can almost act as like their headquarters unit.
Yeah, I like it. That sounds really cool. So let's move on to mission 3, the Crash of Lances. So for this one, I kind of wanted a culmination of the other 3. This is where they've gotten through the front line, or they've gotten through the kill zone. They've crashed through the outer defenses, and they're in the thick of it. And this is more about just like kind of a riposte. I wanted to give people, the defending player, a benefit for also bringing their big monsters, but in some cases, big monsters are not powerful when compared to Imperial Knights. Instead, I have a special rule called Zealous Defense in here. The defending player's non-super heavy walker or non-gargantuan monstrous creature assaults an Imperial Knight, their Hammer of Wrath attacks are resolved using any weapon or special rules normally allowed onto the model in the fight subphase, instead of their unaltered base strength.
Oh, so you can smack them around with the Power Fist.
Yes. So if you have an Imperial, or if you have a Gorkanaut, for example, it can use its Gorkanaut close combat weapon for its Hammer of Wrath attack.
I was about to say like the Gorkanaut or even like the Mega Dreads almost like just suddenly become a lot more deadly.
The Killicans would actually be AP2 with their little Killican fists or whatever. I mean, that sounds like it's a little bonus, but it's a little bonus, but not a huge one. And to kind of balance this out, we give the Imperial Knights Overwatch. If they're already allowed to Overwatch, they do so at BS2 instead of BS1. That way, we don't want to crush the Knights immediately on the assault, And this is the mission, and the reason why the benefit isn't so great in this mission, we also have the Anti-Knight Supply Cache Mysterious Objectives in play as well. So it's not, we don't want to We don't want to overdo it and make the game not fun for the Knight player. Lastly, for this one, we use that blind deployment method because the Knights are on this swift attack into the city, so they don't know where everything is.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Cause it's like they turn a corner and all of a sudden they've got like a las cannon team waiting for them.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Or it's like that iPad game, the Free Blade, where you turn a corner. It's like there's a Morkanaut, a Helldrake. What has been going on over here? I'm just gonna shoot you guys now.
I'm still playing Free Blade because it's a pretty quick game and I can play it for like 5 minutes if I have time. And you turn a corner all the time. It's like, how's there a Helldrake? How are there 3 Helldrakes in this small area? What happened?
Is this the beginning of 6th edition again?
Oh no.
So I hope that these rules and these missions give you a better idea of how you can craft narratives, including Imperial Knights, in your games without it seeming too daunting for the other player. I personally really love the first mission, and I will definitely want to playtest the second and third one at some point, because I think those are good templates for ways of making the game more fun when you're faced against such insurmountable opponents. Again, when you just include one as an ally or whatever, it's not that big a deal. Nobody really minds when you're playing casually. Competitively, I guess Imperial Knights aren't that great right now anyways, so I mean, you're still engaging in the game a little bit better than you normally are, but it's still, you're not winning, they're not winning tournaments, I guess. But at the same time, it's all about showing your opponent a good time and phrasing. Yeah, I know. So just think about that. This episode is all about thinking of the other person and having at least a modicum of empathy when playing games of 40K with your friends. So unless you guys have anything to add, I guess we'll move on to where we have a few messages and stuff during the outro. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Dallas Fort Worth Nerd Night is a community organization that throws tabletop gaming parties for charity. We believe tabletop gamers are uniquely qualified to build better local communities because of the types of relationships built while gaming. If you'd like to learn more about how you can play games and help people with DFW Nerd Night, check out www.dfwnn.org. That's www.dfwnn.org. Interested in the offbeat world of 40K? Is your bits box full of 20-year-old space elves? Have you ever searched for something out of production 40K on eBay? Well, hold on to your zotes and head over to Corsair Radio. It covers the full scope of the hobby, homebrew rules, fluff, campaigns, oddball models, and more. From Terra to the Eye of Terror, visit us at corsairradio.blogspot.com. That's corsairradio.blogspot.com.
So again, Shadow War campaign at Flipside Gaming. If you're in the New York area or the Western Massachusetts area or the Vermont area, I say the Vermont area like the whole state is just an area that they could just come. Come on down to a Flipside Gaming East Greenbush and play some Shadow War with us.
Yeah.
What do we have
I
coming
would
up?
if I could.
What topics do we have coming up, Jason? We have a few that we have set, right?
Yeah, we've got Gathering Storm 3. That's coming at some point. Actually, probably the next week or two, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we have Asserman and Janzar. And I have another topic that I'm working on, but it's kind of secret.
Secret. I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
Now we also have
tattoo?
Huh?
Is this about your new tattoo, Jason?
Yes.
I have no problem showing that off.
So
aren't you sad that you had the video off?
Also, I was contacted by Doug from Table War. And he offered us a Tundra and Ruin City Fat Mat. And we will be doing a campaign. Actually, we're going to be using these Fat Mats in our Fall of Zorn, the Defense of Zorn 4 Hive campaign. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super awesome. I can't wait. I'll bring the mats to the store and everybody can get a look at them. And we're going to do we're going to definitely do coverage in the show. So what that's going to be is we have a lot of topics to cover coming up. But I also want to get the coverage of, using these mats also very soon, just so that there can, we want there to be an impact on Table Wars sales and stuff. So,
yep.
I think what we'll do is we'll try to do 30-minute segments during the show, as long as Jason is okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will edit them and I will give them to Jason to add to the show. So hopefully it won't add to his workload. Because this episode is you're just going to want to blow your brains out after this episode. I'm pretty sure. It's like old school. It's old school freaking third grade mentality here with this episode.
So what you're saying is that we're actually above where we normally are?
Fantastic. Well, I just want to say thank you to Doug for supplying those for us, because the Fat Mats, I'm just being totally honest here. I think they enhance and enrich our games when we play them.
Yeah.
We have a great collection now, and when we do games for Altar of War, and when we do games to show here, the photographs are excellent, and it really helps immerse you a lot better into the game when you have them. So keep your ears peeled for that. Those mats should be coming soon, and I should be setting up the first games within the next week or so. And yes, next week is about the Gathering Storm. We're going to do them instead of doing them in lore and tabletop, we're going to do 2 episodes each with a lore and tabletop, because I guess there's a lot of missions, and we're going to talk about the missions as they appear in the story. Okay.
Yeah.
But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
Jason.
What?
I don't think that's our tagline.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't stick your dick in crazy.
A lesson we all can.
Thanks for coming, John.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Flashbacks then.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission. This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about We will too.